Hello and thank you for joining us for NTA Nationwide. I am Elizabeth Banu. President Muhammadu Buhari has commended the people of Anambra State, the governorship candidates, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, election observers, as well as security agencies and other stakeholders on the peaceful conduct of the November 18 gubernatorial election in the state. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, President Buhari says the process, peaceful conduct and outcome of the election have shown that the administration's electoral reform is bearing positive fruits. The President commends the conduct of the candidates, post-election results, and urged INEC to improve in areas of logistics ahead of forthcoming elections in 2019. President Buhari wishes the returning governor a successful new term in office and assures him that the federal government is ready to work with him for the greater harmony, peace and development of not only Anambra State, but the entire country. The federal government has assured the global community of its readiness to ensure optimal performance of the maritime sector in Nigeria. Minister of Foreign Affairs Jeffrey Onyema gave the assurance at a gathering while soliciting support for votes from the International Maritime Organization member states as Nigeria seeks for seat at the Category C of the organization. Oyinaya Kaluoka reports.
Nigeria occupies a strategic position in the maritime community of Africa. In West and Central Africa, 65% of all cargoes heading in this direction end up in Nigeria. The gathering with members of the diplomatic corps was an opportunity to solicit support for votes from different international maritime organization member states.
That we have enacted proactive policies that conform to global best practices in the maritime sector.
Minister of Transportation Chibike Rotimi Amechi says Nigeria seeking for seats at the Category C Council will be of great benefit to not just the country alone, but Africa.
You're part of the decision-making process. You're no longer outside like we were outside for 2 or 3 years.
When you vote Nigeria to the Council of IMO, you are giving Africa a strategic position.
The International Maritime Organization is made up of 40 countries elected in 3 categories of A, B and C. The election is expected to hold on the 27th of November in London. Oyinaya Kaluoka, NTA News.
Now to the aviation sector. African aviation industry adds $73 billion to the continent's annual GDP and employs about 7 million people with rapid increase in population, but without corresponding infrastructural investment. This concern is what is dominating the agenda for discussion among Africans participating in the Third World Aviation Forum being held in Abuja. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
Considering the huge revenue aviation generates annually across the globe, infrastructural deficit still remains a challenge, which participants say must be deliberately addressed as passenger traffic is predicted to double in the next 15 years. It was observed that there is poor financial support for aviation infrastructure in spite of its huge economic potentials. While Africa's aviation growth is held back by restrictive regulatory environment, it was predicted that 12 countries in the continent alone can increase annual GDP by $1.3 billion and create an additional 150,000 jobs if the skies are open.
The air transport development now needed in Africa will require massive financing commitments, especially considering that most African airports will be exceeding their capacity by just 2020.
On the Nigerian situation, Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika joins investors to take advantage of the infrastructural deficit in the country's aviation sector by investing in view of the huge potential for higher and quicker returns.
A sum of US $775 billion is required to develop Nigeria's transportation infrastructure over the next 30 years.
Surika reminded investors that Nigeria has already passed ACAO security audit with over 96.4%, which guarantees safety on investment. Emmanuel Ayemiru, NTA News.
Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara and the Nigerian delegation to Rome for the Conference on Women Empowerment and War Against Human Trafficking have arrived Rome, Italy. The delegation met with the Speaker of the Italian Parliament ahead of the conference. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
In May this year, the President of the Italian Chamber of Deputies, that is the Speaker of the Italian Parliament, Laura Boldrini, visited Speaker Yakubu Dogara in Nigeria. At that meeting, the both speakers agreed to strengthen diplomatic ties, especially against human trafficking. And then the visit of Speaker Yakubu Dogara to Rome is one of such giant leap of diplomatic reawakening against human trafficking and the empowerment of women. Well, ahead of the Women Conference, Speaker Yakubu Dogara met exclusively with the Speaker of the Italian Parliament, Laura Boldrini, in a closed-door session. And as soon as they came out, well, their facial expression shows a positive hope for Nigeria and Italian government as well. Eventually, the both speakers exchanged gifts before members of the Italian Parliament and then the delegation from Nigeria, made up of the Governor of Edo State, Godwin Abaseki, and the Director General of NAPTIP. From Rome, Italy, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Back home, the Defense Headquarters says it has intensified measures to eradicate rivalry among the military and paramilitary security agencies. Director Defense Information, Major General John Enenche, said this during the second edition of the DHQ Route March in Abuja. The route march, conducted simultaneously across the country, is aimed at fostering unity among the military, paramilitary and response agencies. With the theme, Together We Are, the exercise, Major General John Enenche said, is a demonstration of unity among agencies.
What this does for us, particularly in the military from experience, is that it engenders esprit de corps. There's no inter-service rivalry at all. And we believe that when this is built upon over time, it is going to improve the relationship between the various security services in the country.
You're watching NTA Nationwide. Secretary to the Government of the Federation on public procurement reforms. This and more as we join Jennifer in Lagos. It's over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening and a warm welcome to Lagos. The Nigerian Navy has assured Nigerians that it is fit and combat ready to defend the nation's image and integrity when the need arises. Admiral Superintendent, Naval Ordnance Depot, Rear Admiral Dogara Albehu, said this during the second quarterly meeting joint route march for the armed forces and paramilitary agencies in Lagos. Annie Daniels has details.
The 15-kilometer route march commenced from the NNS Square Parade Ground, Apapa, all through to Ijora, Orile Gomu, Constain and back to the parade ground. The 2-hour route march had in attendance officers of the Nigerian Navy, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other paramilitary agencies.
It's for us to foster esprit de corps because it gives us better understanding of one another when we meet together like that. You know, we have our peculiar services that are different by way of the modes of operations.
The Admiral Superintendent, Naval Ordnance Depot, Rear Admiral Dogara Abehu, says the route march was part of the service effort at keeping personnel physically and mentally fit to execute the tasks enshrined in their constitutional mandates.
We are battle ready so that the man that is physically fit behind the gun, behind the weapon, will be able to do very, very well. Politically, at least, you'll be able to your mind will be on the operations, because when you are healthy, your mind is there, and then you'll be able to concentrate and be able to get the objective by way of operations.
The officers were put through more physical exercises at the end of the route march.
It keeps my morale high, and I feel so very happy interacting with military people.
The Nigerian Navy says it is leaving nothing to chance at ensuring that it lives up to expectation. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Now, the Lagos State Police Command has warned that gangsterism in the Nigerian music industry will not be tolerated, as it often results in death and loss of property. Commissioner of Police Imohime Edgar stated this while parading suspects paid by an artist to unleash attack on a rival music talent in Lagos. Musa Toliat reports that the police gave details of arrest of other suspects.
Police Imohime Edgar said diligent investigation by anti-robbery squad led to the arrest of 4 suspects who confessed to have been paid by Damini Ogulu, popularly known as Burna Boy, to unleash attack on Abiye David Jumbo, known as 2K, on the 22nd October 2017 in Lagos.
Burna Boy said he has to be seen because he had issue with Burna Boy.
The police command also unraveled the mystery surrounding the murder of one Emmanuel Uba, known as Onwa, at Festac Town on 21st July 2017. 4 suspects were arrested in connection with the brutal killing.
They said we should go there to scare them because they said they already shot Akpasha. There was a fracas between Akpasha and the rest people. So when we got there, I wanted to bring out the pistol now just released. So I even ran away.
The command also nabbed a 6-man syndicate who specialized in camouflaging as domestic cook to rob families of their belongings. One Peter Odo Obi was arrested after infusing sedatives in the food of elder statesman Dr. Kalu Idika Kalu at his residence on Victoria Island. His arrest led the police to the whereabouts of his partners in crime.
He's owing me 60,000. 1 month and a half. My friend and I advised me that we should give her drugs so that he will sleep. They will go and carry whatever he have. When we went there, we realized 300,000.
Let me use this opportunity to call on Lagosians to please exercise caution and observe due diligence when employing house helps.
The police also paraded 10 suspected cultists and 21 armed robbery suspects with several arms, ammunition, mobile phones, bags of Indian hemp, and a Toyota Camry saloon car recovered from them. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
The federal government says it is committed to the ongoing procurement reforms being embarked upon by the present administration. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bosgida Mustafa, stated this while declaring open the 2017 second batch Procurement Officers Conversion Training Programs organized by the Bureau of Public Procurement, BBP, in Lagos. Tunde Saiki reports.
Increasing the knowledge base of public services on the provision of the Public Procurement Act of 2007 has become imperative. This is to ensure that professionalism in the service is entrenched across board. The Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who was represented at the event, stated that the training program seeks to achieve that purpose. The Secretary revealed that only competent and capable individuals and organizations will henceforth be selected to vie for government contracts in order to ensure transparency and minimize incidences of collusion and disappearance of contractors after payment of mobilization fees.
A good public procurement process will not only tackle corruption, but will at the long run extirpate it. And this could only be made possible when the procurement officers are knowledgeable and saddled with requisite hands-on experience in the process.
In the same vein, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Winifred Oyo-Ita, who was represented, pointed out that the effective conduct of the training will deepen the knowledge and skills of procurement officers towards accountability.
You must be prepared to contribute significantly as what the ambassadors of the Bureau of Public Procurement to the achievement of value for money in the procurement process in the public sector.
The Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement urged participants to apply knowledge acquired at the training for maximum efficiency.
It is necessary to continue to build the required capacity at our MBAs to manage procurement process, and invariably, value for money is achieved.
The 2-week training program has as its theme tackling corruption at its source through efficient and effective public procurement practices. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Those are the stories from Lagos at this hour. Back to Elizabeth for more on Nationwide. Elizabeth, over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. The Monetary Policy Committee retains rates, holding the monetary rate at 14%, cash reserve ratio at 22.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele said the decision was to maintain stability of the naira and the gains recorded against inflation. He said the economic outlook is positive and harps on the need for the quick passage of the 2018 appropriations to enable policymakers build on the program and policies that would help achieve the feat.
The committee believes that key variables have continued to evolve in line with the current stance of macroeconomic policy and should be allowed to fully manifest. Members noted that the developments in output and inflation in particular required effective close monitoring in order to gain clarity on the medium-term optimal path of monetary policy. In consideration of the foregoing, the committee decided by a vote of 8-1 to retain monetary policy rate at 14% alongside all other policy parameters. One member voted to reduce the MPR by 100 basis points. Consequently, MPC voted to 1. Retain MPR at 14%, 2. Retain CRR at 22.5%, 3. Retain the liquidity ratio at 30%, and 4. Retain the asymmetric corridor at plus 200 and minus 500 basis points around the MPR.
Meanwhile, optimism for a brighter and more prosperous future for Nigeria have continued to be expressed in the wake of President Muhammadu Buhari's 2018 budget proposal to a joint session of the National Assembly. Senate leader Ahmed Lawal, while speaking with National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegunloye, lauded the president, especially in the area of infrastructural development
in the country, as reflected in his proposal with projects such as the Mambila Hydro Power Plant project, counterpart funding for ongoing rail projects, and a second runway at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, listed as priority, which are expected upon completion to be revenue-generating ventures.
I was highly pleased and elated that we are taking the bull by the horn when it comes to providing infrastructure for our country. We must continue to be in haste, and the president is doing it right, and he deserves and he will get our support in this respect. He himself has braced up so well, so hard to ensure that this budget 2018 is implemented fully.
He says that the executive will always have the full support and cooperation of the legislature in bringing the dividends of democracy to the people. The Senate leader calls on all ministries, departments and agencies to hit the ground running and play their part in ensuring successful implementation of the 2018 budget, when budget offences before the National Assembly commence on Wednesday. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on the Review of Pump Price of Petroleum Products has given agencies and major oil marketers responsible for the lifting of crude oil and importation of refined products up to Thursday, the 23rd of November 2017, to submit documents of transactions from 2014. Chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee, Nana Raphael Iboke, gave the directive during an interactive session with heads of the civil corporations. National Assembly correspondent Rabi Musa completes the report.
The organizations mandated to produce transaction documents relating to the lifting of crude oil and importation of refined petroleum products are the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, the Petroleum Product Marketing Corporation, PPMC, Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, and the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Committee chairman says that the discrepancies observed in the transaction authorized for those agencies have made it imperative for thorough checks and investigations.
We have the 445,000 barrels per day, which is for internal consumption. As far as we are concerned, it's a supply contract because you're picking crude to be able to supply in exchange PMS. And we have to establish if this program is really adding value to the economy.
Make sure that every documentation that is required is made available to you and to the committee.
We have our documentation, and our shipping document is certificate of quantity, which actually defines the quantity of cargo on board the vessel.
We are involved in a curtailment meeting where all crude oil liftings are programmed.
The ad hoc committee on the review of the pump price of petroleum products has the mandate to unravel the number of crude oil lifted since 2014, the number of barrels received per day, and to advise government on the projections of 2.2 million barrels per day, as well as ascertain if the products were sold. This is to ensure that the shortfall experienced over 20 years ago is checked. Rabi Musa, NTA News.
The federal government has been urged to declare a state of emergency in the power sector. This followed the numerous challenges that bedeviled the sector over the years. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria gave the suggestion while examining the sparks from the rising electricity tariff in Nigeria. Garba Muhammad Nata'ala reports.
Temple Oriake, he tweets to say the use of prepaid meters promotes energy use efficiency, but it is used to exploit consumers and it is unacceptable.
The majority of Nigerians are paying for energy that they did not consume. According to him, this is exploitative in nature and it must stop.
Excessive electricity tariff and metering are some of the challenges facing the power sector, and consumers have continued to cry over this. Worried over the situation, the House of Representatives set up a committee to investigate excessive tariff by electricity distribution companies. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria agreed that the situation in the power sector is really bad and needs urgent attention for the nation to move forward.
Some of these meters are supposed to be industrial meters that they are given to for domestic use. So these are some of the things that has to be looked into.
Going forward, they have to look at that power sector reform. If not, both the operators in the generation companies, in the transmission, the distribution, and the consumers will still be in one spot.
The guests described estimated billing as an aberration, pointing out that it is pertinent to stop playing politics with the sector.
All over the country, the energy theft is massive. Every time people steal energy, it has a negative impact on the issue of cost, the issue of liquidity, and of course it has an impact on the issue of tariff.
Next should, I trust those guys, they're honest and hardworking. Let them go out and do random sampling of these moject meters, as I say. If they are fixed against the engineering and technical standard that NEC approved and the tariff, that means there's a windfall for DISCO and a ripple for customers. That's it.
They also stressed the need for government to impress on the distribution companies to deliver on their commitments as contained in the Power Reform Act. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Nata'ala, NTA News.
It's now time to take a break for some messages. NTA Nationwide continues shortly. Stay with us.
Speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The state of education in Nigeria. That is our focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live promises to be incisive, informative, and educating. Don't miss it.
The Honorable
Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, cordially invites all state commissioners, permanent secretaries, and directors of tourism and culture and other stakeholders in the tourism, culture, and national orientation sector to the 9th National Council meeting on tourism, culture, and national orientation with the theme Tourism and Culture as a Panacea for Nigerian Economic Recovery. Chief host, Executive Governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Muhammad Badaru Abubakar. Venue, Manpower Development Institute along Government House Road, opposite Commercial Secondary School, Takuru, Adwa, Duse, Jigawa State. Date, 22nd to 25th November 2017. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Announcer.
Thank you so much for inspiring greatness in me, Alhaji.
Alhaji?
I am just rehearsing there.
Rehearsing for what?
A life-changing and inspiring meeting.
With who?
Alhaji Aliko Dangote.
With the FGNI app and just 500 Naira, you stand a chance to meet one-on-one with Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, and win cash prizes. As the Be Inspired meetings give Nigerians a chance to meet one-on-one with icons. To qualify for the draw, download FGNI app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Go to the Be Inspired section and follow the instructions. Cost of travel and accommodation of all winners within Nigeria will be borne by the organizers. Terms and conditions apply. Proudly supported by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Nationwide. Now, trending stories in Ibadan as we join Kemi. It's over to you, Kemi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. The University of Ibadan has emerged the best overall institution in the field of medicine in Nigeria. The institution came first at the 2017 Emeritus Professor Oladipo Akikugbe National Intermedical School Quiz Competition. Correspondent Olumide Gutola has the report.
The University of Ibadan, through its medical students, emerged best in the field of medicine after competing with other institutions in the country. The students were examined in mathematics, clinical sciences, general knowledge, and general sciences, among others. The final of the GSK Emeritus Professor Oladipo Akikugbe National Intermedical School Quiz Competition. The University of Ibadan came first with 27 points, defeating their counterparts from Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU Ile-Ife, that garnered 22 points to place second.
And hard work has really been the key to our success. We thank God.
Believe in yourself. You can always go places if you are determined.
Earlier, University of Lagos defeated Lagos State University during the losers final. Partners and stakeholders of the quiz competition comment.
Engaging in other co-curricular activities that would enhance their intellect and make them wittier, sharper, and ready to interact with the society.
Dokita Editorial Board, an organization composed of medical students of the University of Ibadan, is responsible for the organization of the biannual Emeritus Professor Oladipo Akikugbe National Intermedical Quiz Competition. In Ibadan, NTA News.
Oyo State Police Command has sought collective participation and support of all in making community policing effective in the state. The State Police Commissioner, Abiodun Odude, made the plea at a town hall meeting with representatives of Oyo and Okeogun communities. The command seized the opportunity to launch the Bail is Free campaign. Correspondent Larry Bele has the reports.
It's the official launch of Bail is Free campaign of Nigerian Police Force in Oyo State and at Oyo, Okeogun area of the state. The program also doubles as a town hall meeting of stakeholders in the area to chart a new path on security issues in Oyo, Okeogun area. In his address, the Oyo State Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Odude, while emphasizing the importance of security in the community, said the meeting also serves as a source of feedback on what Nigerian police force needs to do to be more effective.
The enhancement of what as more community police, one very important aspect of human life is security.
An interactive session came up where issues which include crime prevention, farmers-herdsmen clash, multiple checkpoints on the roads, and inadequate police personnel at the grassroots were discussed. From Oyo, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
Reducing the disturbing number of Nigerian youths who perish in the desert and Mediterranean Sea requires effective collaboration among relevant agencies and parents. Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Muhammadu Babandede, stated these at a one-day seminar to fund solution to challenge of human trafficking. Correspondent Adeni Taiwo has the report.
The seminar with the title Migrant Smuggling, Human Trafficking, Child Labor, The Way Forward had in attendance students, youth organizations and market women. Addressing the one-day seminar organized by Osun State Command of the Nigerian Immigration Service, the Controller General Muhammad Babandede said trafficking in persons as an international crime demanded attitudinal change from the citizenry to overcome.
Because Europe has no job for you. They have no jobs for themselves. So we must try as much as possible to enhance job creation in our own country, to discourage our youths from going out.
It is better to continue telling our parents to watch out for the children, to probably check their overzealousness.
The dangers far outweigh the good. People's organs have been removed. People have been killed. People have died.
Speaker Osun State House of Assembly, Najim Salam, who was the chairman at the seminar, said government must not relent in providing empowerment initiatives for the youth to support the campaign. In Oshobo, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's now back to Elizabeth in Abuja for continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Kemi. The Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi, says promoting girl child education will address challenges posed by inadequate women health personnel and maternal deaths. The Emir stated this when he embarked on massive enlightenment campaign to educate his subjects on health educational issues affecting the domain. Lawal Sallo reports.
The tour by the Kano Emirate Health Committee headed by the Emir Muhammad Sanusi II is part of the public enlightenment campaign to promote healthcare delivery, girl child education and routine immunization. Others include how to reduce high rate of divorce and domestic violence, as well as street begging and hawking. Statistics, according to the Emir, shows that about 3 million children are out of school in Kano, which prompted stakeholders to take action. Emir of Kano Muhammad Sanusi II informed the gathering that promoting education and healthcare services are the main reason for which the campaign was launched.
Only 60% of children registered for immunization recently, which calls for more effort to wipe away the menace.
At Adingi local government area, the Emir flagged off the second phase of this vaccination for the remaining 19 local government area in Kano, from a target of 2.5 million children at the age of 9 months to 5-year-old. Stakeholders advised parents to support the new initiatives in tackling the menace of killer diseases, as well as attend antenatal services to mitigate infant and maternal mortality to the barest minimum. The exercise was supported by several donor agencies. In Kano, Lawal Sallo Inua, NTA News.
Still talking health, the health sector got a budget of 221.7 billion naira, with a difference in the 2018 proposed budget of 340.4 billion naira. Health correspondent Aisha Uba Ali takes a look at the expectations and projections for the sector in view of its budget allocation.
Analysts say the sector, just like the general budget, has witnessed slight increment in its budgetary allocation. This is laudable, but they also lament on the poor budget performance for 2017 and suggest huge investment to the sector.
2017 is going now, only about 20% of the said budgeted figure have been so far released.
To factor in the 12% inflation rate
that's based on which the the 2018 budget proposal is made, you see that 12% of 308 billion is over 30 billion naira, which is just about the difference in the budget. So an economic analysis shows that it's essentially the same, no increase.
Experts say effort must be made in seeing that the Abuja declaration of allocating 15% of the total budget to health is achieved.
So there's been a lot of recommendation to say, okay, can we start by going 7.5%, increase it by 1.5% every year, from 7.5 to 9% to 10.5, that way until we reach the 15%.
According to experts, there must be guidelines and prompt release of funds to allow implementation and also making primary health care systems functional.
Once you can combine mandatory health insurance scheme and the PPP arrangement, our health sector will be transformed.
A lot of our partners are pulling out, but the partners were never meant to be here permanently. They were here to support us, to complement our effort.
The analysts also say Nigeria should begin to take ownership of some of the health programs, as the recent ranking rates Nigeria as a median income country. In Abuja, Aisha Oba Ali, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Nationwide. We are not done with health matters, as Sadia in Sokoto brings us a report on the outbreak of a strange disease again. Tell us, what is going on, Sadia?
Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome to Sokoto, seat of the Caliphate. A yet-to-be-identified hemorrhagic fever has been recorded in parts of Mabera area of Sokoto State, which has so far claimed the lives of 3 persons. Malamido Gondaji has the details.
As at the time, NTA News crew visited the area, particularly the house of Aminu Bello Zoroma, where the 2 victims of the unknown disease lived, it was under lock and key. NTA News was told the family had moved to another place to avoid further contacting and spreading of the disease. Narrating the incident, one of the victims' relatives said they lost their 15-year-old boy, Bello Aminu, who returned from school and started behaving abnormally and with a strange ailment. He was admitted in the hospital where he died. Another person living in the next house, an elderly man, Abdullah Helawal, a mechanic, also died 2 days after Bello's death. When contacted, the director who attended to the first victim before he died, Dr. Adamu, from the Department of Public Health, Usman Danford University Teaching Hospital, Sokoto, who spoke off camera, said, "It's a strange disease that needs proper investigation." Dr. Adamu explained that it started with a rapidly escalating body temperature, headache, diarrhea, bloody eyes, inability to speak, chronic fever, vomiting, and difficulty in breathing, among others. He noted that for all victims, proper diagnosis was not carried out before their death. Deputy Director, Public Health Care, Sokoto State Ministry of Health, Dr. Aliyu Muhammad said, a team of experts have been deployed to the affected areas to sensitize the residents to report any illness or strange behavior to the nearest health facility for treatment.
Actually, the patient that presented with these symptoms at Mabera, 3 in number, died before samples can be collected. So you can't actually pinpoint directly to tell you that this is what is happening.
Dr. Aliyu also said surveillance is going on in the area to search for any new case, and so far more have been reported.
Nigerians have been charged to adhere to the national core values of unity and understanding and uphold the ideals of nation's founding fathers. This was the position of stakeholders at a peace and security rally organized by the National Orientation Agency in Kebbi State. Nuratan Kwakili completes the report.
The campaign, which has in attendance traditional and religious leaders, politicians and security agencies, aimed at providing solutions to the challenges posed by insecurity and dangers of hate speech. The Kebbi State Director, National Orientation Agency, Alhaji Abdul Malik Mahmoud Shaba, said departure of Nigerians from the highly cherished national values and ethics resulted into the negative behavior being experienced from some citizens in the country. The director therefore advocated for tolerance and understanding, vigilance against crimes, respect for individual beliefs and culture, as well as politics without bitterness, among others. Other stakeholders highlighted some of the challenges occasioned by hate speech and religious intolerance and called for national consciousness in dealing with such. They also called for a collective resolve to fight corruption, which according to them is the #1 security threat in the country.
3 papers were presented at the event on peace and security, dangers of hate speech and fire safety. In Birnin Kebbi, Nuratan Wakili, NTA News.
That's all from this end. Back to Elizabeth in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Sadia. Nigeria to strengthen ties with Pakistan. We'll bring you details when we return. Stay with us.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
Honey, let's just pay now. The kids are bored. I am too.
We're traveling next week. We can't just waste money like that and subscribe for a month when we won't be around to use it.
Worried about wasted subscription? Then make a smart choice by paying for when you want with our groundbreaking new StarTimes Pay Per Day package. You can now pay for exactly how long you want. A day, 2 days, a week? The choice is yours. Never worry about wasted subscription again. Just enjoy all your favorite channels and much more. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Nationwide. The Nigerian High Commissioner to Pakistan, Major General Ashimiyu Adebayo Olani, says existing cordial bilateral ties between Nigeria and Pakistan will be strengthened and deepened in the area of trade and defense capabilities. The High Commissioner said this during his presentation of letter of credence to the Pakistani President Mahmoud Hussein in Islamabad. Gabriel Odu reports.
Received by the Chief of Protocol and a detachment of the Presidential Guard, the Nigerian High Commissioner to the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Major General Ashimiyu Adebayo Olani, took a national salute. After inspecting the Guard of Honor, the High Commissioner presented letters of credence to the Pakistani President, Mahmoud Hussein. Discussions centered on defense, economy, trade and investment, as well as tackling terrorism in both countries. Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
The Nigeria-United States Binational Commission has ended in Abuja with a resolve to, among other resolutions, promote good governance and democracy, security, as well as economic growth and development. Again, Gabriel Odu reports that the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyema, and the United States Deputy Secretary of State, John Sullivan, signed the joint communique.
Among the areas of focus in the one-year joint goals document
improve security and stability in the Northeast, humanitarian assistance in the Northeast, maritime security, revenue diversification, mutually beneficial trade and investment, Nigeria's regional leadership, free and fair 2019 elections, open government partnership, immigration issues, peace and security in the Niger Delta, as well as anti-corruption and asset recovery, among others.
The next binational commission will be hosted by the United States in Washington. Let's now join Ilyasu Ali Yakub for stories around the world.
Hello there. Thanks for joining us on this segment of the news. My name is Ilyasu Ali Yakubu. Zimbabwe's former vice president has urged President Robert Mugabe to resign immediately. Emerson Mnangagwa was said to have fled abroad 2 weeks ago when he learned of a plot to kill him. He said he will not return until he is sure of his security. The ruling ZANU-PF party is expected to begin impeachment proceedings in Parliament Tuesday. Mr. Mugabe is accused of allowing his wife to assume constitutional powers. Speaking from an undisclosed location on Tuesday, Mr. Mnangagwa said the 93-year-old president should heed the clarion call of his people and step down. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the U.S. is redesignating North Korea as state sponsor of terrorism, 9 years after it was removed from the list. President said in a cabinet meeting the move will trigger additional sanctions on North Korea. Mr. Trump blamed the country's nuclear program and support for international act of terrorism. Russian President Vladimir Putin has renewed his appeal for a political solution to the war in Syria. During a visit by his Syrian counterpart, the meeting comes ahead of talks among the president's allies, Russia, Iran and Turkey. The three have increasingly cooperated in recent months to set up a series of de-escalation zones aimed at calming fighting in western Syria. That's it on this segment. The news continues in a moment.
And reports just in says Mugabe's impeachment hearing begins. Now talking sports, home-based Super Eagles to camp in Rabat ahead of the 2018 African Nations Championship as FIFA bans 3 former officials over corruption. Kene Imabodike brings us details on Sports Updates.